For the most part, in the foldable smartphone market, most manufacturers started off with the same basic form. It was this big book-style device that folded a screen the size roughly of a tablet into something you could fit in your pocket. That includes Huawei, who made various iterations of the Mate X phone. But of all the big names, it was Samsung who really championed the idea of a 21st century flip phone, one that took a smartphone-sized screen and let you fold it in half. And the result is an incredibly compact, portable phone. It's a really appealing form factor, and one that other companies are starting to make now as well. And that includes Huawei, who's made its very own flip phone called the P50 Pocket. I'm Cam Bunton from Pocket-lint, and I've been using one for the past few days, and here are my initial impressions. And while you're here, if you like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any more of our uploads. If there's one standout feature of the P50 Pocket, it's the design, especially when looking at this premium edition. The model isn't only gold all over, but features an eye-catching fan design across the entire surface of the front and back glass. And it's not a simple 2D pattern either. Each fan blade is recessed into the glass, so it has texture too. That means it looks and feels like no other phone currently on the market. But we suspect it's going to divide opinion as to whether you like it or not. Like the P50 Pro, Huawei has made the camera system very much part of the aesthetic, by making it completely round and sticking it next to an identically sized round cover display. And just like the fan-patterned glass, it certainly adds to that eye-catching appeal of the phone. Apart from that, the design and styling is very reminiscent of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3. However, there are some notable differences. For instance, when folded shut, it's slimmer because Huawei's method of curving the screen inside the hinge has meant the two halves of the phone can be almost completely flush. There's no visible gap. The method of curving the screen inside the hinge also means you don't get that prominent single crease running along the display, and more crucially, it means you're not putting pressure on one single point of the panel, which should mean it lasts longer. What we did notice when we first started using it, however, is that the hinge somehow feels a bit looser and springier than Samsung's panel. It doesn't hold as rigidly to some of the angles that we tried to set it at. It will snap back into place either shut or open. But the aluminium frame and the hinge covering does seem strong and durable. One major plus point is that because the phone is noticeably wider and taller than the Samsung, Huawei has been able to put a bigger screen inside, but more on that later. There's no official dust or water resistance, but the phone does feature buttons you'd expect to find. There's a physical fingerprint sensor in the side, which doubles as the wake sleep key, plus a volume rocker switch, both built into an aluminium frame that is oh so shiny. Now, by any calculation, a 6.9-inch screen on a smartphone is a big screen, and that's exactly what the P50 Pocket has. At virtually 7 inches, you get an expansive cinematic 21:9 ratio OLED panel with all the right specifications. At nearly 450 pixels per inch, it's a sharp screen, and all the text and fine details look crisp. It's also capable of displaying up to 1 billion colours, giving it really wide colour gamut coverage. Plus, with 120Hz refresh rates, it can be incredibly smooth and fluid too. Now, we need more time to judge it properly, but our initial impressions are of a display which is bright, with vivid colours, and without that oversaturated feel you often get from OLED panels. It seems well tuned. What's more, it has really fine-tuned brightness levels, so it won't just jump up and down when it's adjusting its auto brightness. It gradually shifts, making it less jarring. Then there's the small screen on the outside, which is, for all intents and purposes, the same kind of screen you'd get on a smartwatch, just smaller. It's a completely round, touch-sensitive OLED panel. You can't do a huge amount with it, but it is useful. It can be used to display a clock with a background theme to match the one on your main display, as well as showing notifications, weather widgets, and as a camera monitor for when you want to use the main cameras for your selfies. Now, hardware and spec-wise, the P50 Pocket has everything you'd want from a flagship. But that statement, of course, comes with the slight caveat that as long as you're happy with the processor from 2021. The Snapdragon 888 inside the P50 Pocket has since been superseded by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, and that's what you'll see in pretty much every other flagship Android phone this year. It sits alongside a generous amount of RAM and storage though. There are two variants, one with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage, and one with 12GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. This particular premium model comes with the latter combination, and so obviously costs more than the lower memory variants. For a flip phone, it's got a relatively beefy battery too at 4000 mAh. It's got 700 mAh more than the Samsung alternative and will charge faster too, thanks to support for Huawei's 40-watt supercharged technology. There's no wireless charging though, sadly. In Europe, the phone will run EMUI 12. Huawei skin built on top of Android, and as with any Huawei phone launched in the recent years, it doesn't come with Google Play services, so you'll need to be sure your needs are met by Huawei's App Gallery and Petal Search if you're interested in buying this phone. Just a quick note on cameras, and Huawei's never exactly been afraid to try new things with its camera systems. It was among the first to adopt night mode photography or AI scene processing, and the periscope zoom camera, plus a few other technologies to boot. And with the P50 Pocket, it's trying something a bit unconventional. Alongside the usual main and ultra-wide camera duo, there's an ultra-spectrum camera. This, according to Huawei, can capture wavelengths invisible to the human eye, and has enabled a new fluorescence feature. Shooting at nighttime or in low light, this mode gives objects a bright neon-like appearance. It's probably too soon to call it a gimmick, and it could enable some creativity previously unavailable on smartphones, but we'll have to test it further to see how effective it is. As an end sort of takeaway, at least from a design perspective, the P50 Pocket is quite different in approach to what we've seen so far, particularly when compared to the Z Flip 3. The round screen on the cover and the textured patterned glass make it very unique. But what we can't get away from is the price. Where Samsung has been able to bring its flip phone down to a palatable price, no different to most flagship phones, the Huawei P50 Pocket is incredibly expensive. And for those of us in Western markets, the lack of Google Play services means it's not all that practical for most people either. Let me know what you think of this phone. Are you excited to see it in real life? Will you take a chance on it, even though it hasn't got Google Play services? Let me know in the comments below, or get me on Twitter. I'm at Cam Bunton. If you did like this video, please do leave a thumbs up. It helps us a great deal. Tap subscribe and tap the notification bell, and that way you won't miss any of our uploads. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.